Okay, and then when you actually get started writing, I want you to look at your story that you told, because you've got all the pictures right here in front of you. Okay, so you can look at your story and you can remember, well, I've got Japan, I've got the world, I've got Hikaru. How am I going to put that together into a story? Even if you've already told your story, sometimes it's tricky to get the words out your mouth and into your hand and into a pencil and onto the paper. That's a big process. That's a big process for you, for us, for people to write. Okay, writing's hard work. But that's why you're going to have this is kind of like your cheat sheet. Okay, you can use your storyboard cheat sheet to help you because you've got your story already out. Now the question is, what words are you going to pick to put on the paper to make your story come alive for somebody else? So this is how we're going to start. We're going to start by taking a look at the first picture. And I'm going to say, oh yeah, I remember. That was when I lived in Japan and I found my cat Hikaru there. And you're just going to write what comes into your mind. This is not perfect work. It does not have to be your final draft. Okay, so I'm just going to start. And I'm going to start right up here on this top line. I used to live in Japan. Okay, and I can even put a check mark there because I already did that one. And you might even want to use your highlighter. Maybe just highlight that piece of the picture so that you know you already talked about it. Now what about this part? Oh yeah, Japan is on the other side of the world. Do I want to add that? I can if I want, but maybe not this time. Okay, and you can decide. Alright, I'm going to put a check mark there because I thought about it, but I decided not to add it to my story. Do you think it's okay to decide not to add something to your story? When you put it on your storyboard, it's definitely okay. It's definitely okay. So I'm going to decide not to add that part. But Hikaru, I definitely have to add about Hikaru in my story because he's a main character. Okay, I used to live in Japan because I found my cat Hikaru in Japan. You know what? I think I'm going to write that. I found my cat Hikaru or Hikaru in Japan. And maybe I want to tell people now that Hikaru means light because that seems to go with this part of my story. Hikaru means light in Japanese. It doesn't mean light in English, right? It means light in Japanese. Okay, so I found Hikaru, I spelled Hikaru. I guess I can go on to my next storyboard. So this one's all done. I can draw a little mark up here and there we go. I finished. I already wrote about this one. I don't have to write any more about this one if I don't want to. And then next, I come over to the next one. This is about how I found Hikaru. Okay, and maybe I will talk a little bit about this in my story. So I can say, and you know what, I'm going to go down to the next line. I think what I'll do for each part of my story is I'll probably go down a line, but you can continue writing on the same line if the pieces are very close and they go together. But see, this is telling people I found Hikaru. This is telling people when I was walking to the store. It kind of goes through the story. So I'm going to say, start here. When I was walking to the store, I heard a tiny meow. I looked all around until I discovered, I like the word discovered, till I discovered a tiny fluff ball of a cat. Of a kitten. I'm going to use the word kitten because he was definitely a baby of a kitten. He was white with black spots he looked like a cow. Sometimes I call him Cow Kitty. Okay, and so that's my first, when I first saw Hikaru, I'm going to say I picked him up, but I couldn't find his home. And then let's see. So, and then in this one, I brought him back to my place. So I took him back to my place. Okay, so you can see how the story starts to come together. Alright, it happens by looking at the pictures. Okay, and each time I write about something, I can just kind of check it off. And, you know, in this case, there's a lot of different things I could write. I could write pages and pages just about finding Hikaru. Okay, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to write pages and pages about it. I'm going to start, I want my focus to be on the story in general. And if I want to go back and add in more later, I can. Well, also, if I wanted to write more now, and then go back later and take parts out because it was too much, I can do that too. That's the great thing about writing. When you go to do your writing, I don't want you to worry if you're writing the right thing or not. Okay? I don't want you to worry if a word isn't spelled right. This is just your first draft. This is just your first time going through it. Okay? So you don't have to worry about all those things. What you do is you just look at each piece of your picture and you write about it. Okay? And as you write about it, you check it off. Alright? Does that make sense, guys? Can I get a thumbs up, a thumbs sideways, or a thumbs down so I can see if you're kind of with me? Alright. Looks like most of you are kind of with me, and the thumbs sideways, I'm going to ask you to try it out and see how it goes for you. Okay? Because writing can be tricky business. So we're going to give it a try and see if we need to clarify anything to help you guys get it a little bit better. You're going to go through each story, each picture on your story. Now, when you get to a picture, is it okay to leave a picture out if you decide you don't want to add it? Is that okay? It is okay. Yeah, you don't have to include every single thing that's in every single storyboard. Okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, though, I want you to write more than a sentence for your story. Okay? It's got to be a nice story that you're writing. All right? So we're gonna try this today, and this is just talking about the first draft of our personal narrative or our memoir.